What if the reason your body isn't healing has nothing to do with your body at all? That's the question no one in the medical world seems willing to ask. And honestly, once you understand why, everything changes. Not just the way you think about health, but the way you think about yourself. Because for the last 3 centuries, we've been handed a story about our own biology, and almost no one ever stopped to question whether that story was actually true. Now, has this ever happened to you? You go to a doctor with something that's been bothering you for months? Maybe chronic pain, maybe persistent fatigue, maybe something that just won't go away no matter what you try. And you leave that appointment feeling not better, but smaller, powerless. Like your own body became something you no longer have any say over. That feeling isn't accidental. It's been engineered layer by layer over generations by a system that was never designed to empower you in the first place. But before we begin, please hit the like button and let me know where in the world you're watching from today. It's always fascinating seeing who's joining us from around the world. And if you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of our future videos. Here's what they never told you. From the moment you were born, you were taught to see yourself as a machine. A complex one, sure, but a machine nonetheless. One that breaks down over time, one that needs constant maintenance, one that will inevitably deteriorate no matter how hard you fight it. And that belief? It didn't just stay in your mind. It sank into your cells. It became the silent program running in the background of your biology, shaping your chemistry, influencing your immune response, and quietly, invisibly, suppressing the very regeneration your body was built to perform. What you're about to discover might surprise you. Modern science is now confirming something that completely dismantles the framework we were raised inside. Your body is not a failing system. It is an extraordinarily intelligent, self-repairing organism, capable of healing at levels medicine has barely begun to understand. The problem was never a lack of capacity. The problem is that everything we were told about healing, every assumption baked into our healthcare systems, every reflex to treat disease as an enemy to be conquered, has been quietly working against us this entire time. Stay with me until the end, because what's coming next is where this gets genuinely unsettling. There's a reason this information never made it into the mainstream conversation. Not because it isn't real, peer-reviewed research backs every piece of it, but because acknowledging it would require dismantling one of the most deeply rooted beliefs in modern history, the idea that we are separate from our own bodies and that we have no real power over what happens inside them. That belief is the foundation, and it's cracked. So let's pull back the curtain on exactly how this works, because the mechanism behind it is far more fascinating than most people realize. Think about the last time you felt completely defeated, not just tired, genuinely defeated. That heaviness in your chest, that sense that nothing you do actually matters. Now here's what was happening inside you in that exact moment, behind the scenes, completely invisible to you. Your cells were listening, every single one of them, and they were adjusting their behavior accordingly. This isn't philosophy, this isn't wishful thinking, this is measurable, documented biology. The beliefs you carry, especially the ones you never consciously chose, don't stay locked inside your head like abstract thoughts waiting to be examined. They travel, they embed themselves in your chemistry, your hormonal responses, your immune function. They become the very instructions your body follows when deciding whether to repair, to regenerate, or to simply give up. And most of us have been carrying instructions that say give up for our entire lives without even knowing it. Now, I want to go even deeper into this, because here's where the hidden truth gets even more revealing. We were raised believing that the brain is the command center, the master controller, the organ that runs the show and dictates everything happening inside us. But what if that's not the whole story? What if the organ making the most critical decisions about your health isn't even in your head? Your heart was the first structure to form in the womb. Before your brain existed, before your nervous system came online, before anything else took shape, your heart began to beat. And science, for all its power, still cannot definitively explain what triggered that very first heartbeat. What started it? That mystery alone should tell you something profound about the role this organ plays in your life. This is the kind of content that doesn't show up anywhere else. If you want to keep going deeper into these revelations, hit that subscribe button. You won't regret it. But here's the revelation that changes the entire conversation. Your heart isn't just a pump. It contains approximately 40,000 specialized neurons, cells that function remarkably like brain cells, except they exist entirely within your chest. They process information, they learn, they adapt, they remember, independently. Your heart has its own intelligence, its own neural network, and research consistently shows it sends far more signals up to the brain than the brain ever sends back down. The transformation this understanding brings to how we think about healing, about decisions, about the invisible forces shaping our daily experience, it's staggering. Because if your heart is the one generating the primary chemistry that floods your system at any given moment, then the emotions you cultivate inside it aren't just feelings, they're instructions. Write in the comments, "My heart knows more than I thought." And this is where most people's entire understanding of health gets turned upside down. We were taught that emotions are soft things, personal things, things that happen in your mind and stay there, disconnected from anything physical. But the truth is far more powerful than that, and far more urgent. Because every emotion you experience, especially the ones you hold on to, is actively rewriting the chemistry inside your body. Right now, in real time, without your permission, unless you understand how it works. When you genuinely feel gratitude, not think about it, not recite it like a mantra, but actually feel it resonate somewhere deep inside your chest, your heart generates a specific signal. That signal travels directly to your brain, and your brain responds by releasing a cascade of hormones. Hormones that strengthen your immune system, hormones that activate regeneration, hormones that, in documented studies, have shown to slow down the very biological markers we associate with aging. This isn't a metaphor or a feel-good concept someone invented to sell books. This is peer-reviewed, measurable chemistry. The impact of this single revelation on how we approach healing is almost impossible to overstate. But here's the uncomfortable side of this revelation, the part nobody wants to talk about. The same mechanism works in reverse. Because if positive emotions are medicine, then the emotions you've been carrying without resolution are something far closer to poison. Think about the people you know who seem to carry stress like a second skin. The ones who are always tense, always reacting, always running from one thing to the next. Has this ever crossed your mind that their body might not just be responding to their life, but actually being shaped by it? Stress, in small doses, is useful. It's a signal. It tells you something in your environment needs your attention. Your body releases cortisol and adrenaline for brief, intense moments, a flash of focus, a burst of energy, and then it fades. That's how it was designed to work. But when that signal never gets resolved, when stress becomes the permanent background noise of your existence, something deeply destructive begins to unfold behind the scenes. Cortisol stops being a helpful alert and becomes a slow, silent saboteur. It suppresses the very hormones responsible for healing. It weakens immune function. It creates the exact internal environment where chronic inflammation thrives, where disease finds fertile ground, where your body quietly loses its ability to do what it was always designed to do. And here's what makes this so revealing. You don't just feel your unresolved emotions. You wear them. in your posture, in your face, in the way your body holds tension you can't explain, in symptoms doctors can't fully account for. The stress doesn't disappear when the moment passes. It stays embedded, waiting. Now, I want to go even deeper into why this matters more than almost anything else we've discussed so far. Write in the comments, "I never connected stress to this," because what I'm about to share with you challenges something so foundational that most people never even realize it's there. There's a story, and it's not a legend or a myth passed down without evidence, about a Native American elder during one of the worst droughts anyone in the region had ever seen. Months without rain, fields cracked, rivers gone dry, and this elder was invited to do something that, on the surface, sounded almost too simple to work. He was asked to pray for rain, but here's what he actually did, and why it matters far more than the rain itself. He didn't ask for rain, he didn't plead, he didn't petition some distant force and hope for the best. He closed his eyes, and he felt. He felt the sensation of rain already falling. He smelled the earth after a storm. He felt the mud beneath his feet as if it were already there. He experienced the outcome not as something he was desperately waiting for, but as something that had already arrived. And within hours, clouds appeared where there had been none for months. Rain fell in a way that defied every prediction meteorologists had made. If this landed with you, if something here changed the way you see your own body, a like on this video means more than you think. It tells me this work matters, and it helps it reach someone who needs it. Now, I understand how that sounds. It sounds like folklore. It sounds like something beautiful, but ultimately disconnected from how the real world actually operates. But here's the thing, and this is where the revelation hits differently. What that elder was doing wasn't magic, it was biology. When you pray for healing, when you sit in the feeling of being sick and ask something outside yourself to fix it, you are sending your body a very specific signal. You are confirming at the deepest level that healing does not exist in your present reality. Your cells receive that instruction and they act accordingly. But when you shift, when you genuinely embody the feeling of already being whole, already being healed, your body receives entirely different instructions. The chemistry changes, the signals change, and the outcome begins to shift before anything visible happens on the outside. Now, I want to go even deeper into why this works, because the science behind it is where this entire journey takes its most stunning turn. For 100 years, the foundation of modern science rested on a single experiment. Back in 1887, two scientists set out to detect something specific, a field, an invisible thread connecting all things. Their equipment failed to find it, and from that one moment the entire scientific community concluded that no such connection exists. 3 centuries of thinking were built on that conclusion. Separation became the default assumption behind everything. Our medicine, our understanding of consciousness, our relationship to the world around us. But then 1987 arrived. Exactly 100 years later, the same experiment was repeated. This time, the equipment was better, and the result was the opposite of everything that had been assumed. The field exists. It exists precisely where the original scientists predicted it would. Their technology simply wasn't sensitive enough to see it. And since then, quantum physics has confirmed through something called entanglement that particles separated by vast distances, when they once shared a connection, continue to influence each other instantaneously. What happens to one happens to the other, as if they never separated at all. The impact of this on healing, on transformation, on every decision you make about your own body, it redefines everything. Write in the comments, "We are more connected than I realized." So if everything we've uncovered so far is true, and the evidence says it is, then the question becomes immediate and very personal. How do you actually use this? How do you take what we've been talking about and turn it into something real, something you can feel working inside your own body, starting right now? The answer is simpler than you might expect, and that simplicity is exactly what makes it so easy to overlook. Your heart generates the strongest electromagnetic field in your entire body, stronger than your brain, stronger than any other organ. And because we live in an electrical and magnetic universe, your heart is specifically designed to communicate with the larger field we just talked about, the one science spent 100 years trying to find. When your heart and brain fall into sync, into what researchers call coherence, something remarkable happens. Every healing mechanism your body possesses activates simultaneously, not gradually, not over weeks or months, immediately. The state they're referring to operates at a specific frequency, 0.1 hertz, and reaching it doesn't require years of training or any special ability. It requires something almost absurdly accessible. You move your awareness away from the noise in your head and bring it down into your chest. You breathe slowly, 5 or 6 seconds as you inhale, 5 or 6 seconds as you exhale, and then you feel, not think, feel. You let something genuine rise inside you. Gratitude for something real in your life, compassion for yourself or someone you love, a quiet sense of appreciation for the fact that you're here at all. And the moment that feeling becomes real, not performed, but genuinely felt, your biology responds. Anti-aging hormones begin flooding your system. Immune function strengthens in ways that are measurable within minutes. Neural pathways between your heart and brain begin forming that didn't exist before. This is what self-regulated healing actually looks like behind the scenes. And you have access to it every single moment of your life. Now, I want to go even deeper into something that ties everything together, because understanding this last piece transforms the entire journey from information into real, lasting change. Every symptom you have ever experienced, every ache, every condition, every moment of chronic discomfort that doctors couldn't fully explain, your body wasn't failing you. It was talking to you in a language you were never taught to read. Has this ever occurred to you? That the pain might not be the problem itself, but a signal, pointing directly at one. Most of the beliefs shaping your health right now were never consciously chosen. They were absorbed. Before the age of 7, the human brain exists in a state researchers describe as hypnagogic, essentially a wide-open receptive state where everything in your environment gets internalized without any filter, without any critical evaluation. The messages you received during those years about safety, about your own worth, about what was possible for you, they sank deep, far deeper than memory. They became the silent architecture behind your decisions, your relationships, and yes, the physical state of your body. When you begin to see your symptoms not as enemies to be conquered, but as information, as your body's most honest attempt to show you exactly where something inside needs your attention, the entire relationship to healing shifts. Physical transformation becomes not something you force from the outside, but something that naturally emerges when the deeper layer finally gets seen. Write in the comments, "My body has been trying to tell me something." And if you made it this far, truly made it here all the way through, then something in this conversation landed. Maybe it was a feeling you've carried for a long time without being able to name it. Maybe it was something you always suspected but never had the words for. Either way, you're not here by accident. This is exactly the kind of content I create in this space. Not surface level information designed to fill time, but real explorations into the hidden mechanisms behind healing, behind consciousness, behind the quiet decisions your body is making every single day without you realizing it. If this felt valuable, If it shifted even one thing in the way you see yourself or your health, then this channel is where you belong. Hit that subscribe button because what's coming next goes even deeper into these revelations, and every video builds on the last, so you won't want to miss what's ahead. And if this conversation meant something to you, leave a comment right now and write, "This message was meant for me." I read every single one. It's how I know this work is reaching the people who actually need it, and it helps others find their way here too. A like on this video is a small gesture, but it carries weight. It tells me this kind of content matters to you, and it helps the algorithm bring it to someone else who might need it just as much as you did today. There's a video right here that complements everything we just explored. It goes even deeper into the practical techniques behind heart-brain coherence, the exact methods you can start using immediately to activate what we talked about today. Click and continue with me over there, because what you've uncovered today is just the beginning.